welcome to Up the Villa podcast. If you're new to our channel, subscribe, drop this video a like, and get involved in the comment section down below. So, Aston Villa are away at Burnley this weekend, and we thought no better guest. We used Justin's little contact book to get Stevenward, former player for Burnley, Wolves, Republic of Ireland international as well. So, recently retired as well. So, Justin thought he'd get him on straight onto this podcast. So,
sign him up. Get the media duties start early.
I've got not much else to do, so yeah, cheers for that, Justin. Appreciate it.
No worries, mate. No worries.
Cool. So, what was it like playing for like Burnley, being in and around the club as a whole?
Listen, it's a great club. I was lucky enough to be there at a time when obviously we were very successful. Sean Dyche done an unbelievable job there. And pretty much a similar story to what's happening this year. We seem to always be in a relegation so-called battle. We'd always tend to somehow get ourselves out of it. And it looks like, they're doing a similar thing this year. But great club, really, really good club. Was great times for me. And yeah, listen, delighted to see that they're back sort of on track and got a good chance of staying in the Premier League again.
Yeah,
it wasn't always relegation battles, though, was it? Because you had a really good season, didn't you? One of the seasons, finished 7th, didn't you?
Yeah, we finished 7th. We
qualified. Your first season?
No, it was a couple in that we qualified for the Europa League, but
yeah, most
of the years was pretty similar to the way it's gone this year, and we'd sort of be in and around it, and then somehow we just it's like a carbon copy every year. They seem to just get 3 or 4 results and somehow get themselves out of it. Listen, it's not done yet this year. They got a couple of tough games coming up, obviously 2 against the Villa, so they won't earmark them as 2 wins. But yeah, listen, it's great that they've given themselves a fighting chance. It's just a strange one when you do look at them now and you don't see Sean Dyche in the dugout.
Mm.
What was he like? What was he like as a manager?
Yeah, he was excellent. I think we were fortunate. He got linked with a lot of jobs. I think he was very close to going to Aston Villa at one stage.
Really?
I remember him being linked. I think it was just before Bruce, maybe. I think they're still in the Championship, and he was very close to go. Well, I don't know how close he was to going, but there was a lot of paper talk, a lot of speculation, and obviously, listen, when a club like Villa come in for you, you're going to listen to what they have to say. So, but listen, honest as the day's long, people will look and say he's got that old school mentality. Exactly what you're getting from him. If you give him exactly what he wants from you, then you'll never have a problem with him. He's very much into players that run into the ground, work hard, train right every day, live right, and very much that sort of we're all in it together mentality, and roll your sleeves up, go out there, give it everything. If we win the game, we win the game. If not, we regroup and we go again. So really good to play with, and probably came as a massive shock, I think, when they eventually let him go a couple of weeks ago.
I'll tell you what, I think I'd fancy a pint with Sean Dyche. He sounds like a proper geezer, like a right lad. Always see him at the music gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah, he loves it.
Stadium gigs, he's right at the front, and he loves it. So love a pint with him.
He's mad into his music and his gigs, and I think Kasabian are right up there with his favourite. But yeah, listen, we'd seen him. We'd come into training on a Tuesday and there'd be pictures of him at Reading Festival with, in
the mosh pit,
yeah, not even in the VIP. I thought he deserved to be in the VIP after what he's done at Burnley, but he was happy enough to get in the mosh pit. But we had some good nights out, especially during pre-season. He as long as we worked hard, he was great for that. Let our hair down. If you give him what he wants, he'll reward you. And obviously when we got promoted or we stayed up, we'd always have an end of season night out, and he'd always have the wives, girlfriends involved, and he'd be right in the thick of it. So, really, really good manager, really good to work for. And, like I say, it's disappointing not to see him still at Burnley, but, I'm sure he'll have plenty of offers come the new season or into next season.
Cool. Yeah, on the outside, looking in, he's got this really tough, this tough, what people think of him. Is he like that, like in the dressing room? Is he hard? Or is he a bit of a softie, really?
No, he's exactly the way he comes across in the media, and listen, he's an old school centre half. He came through the Brian Clough era at Nottingham Forest, so he does have some of them traits where he likes to, as close as he gets to the lads, he does know where there's a line, that he's the manager, he's the boss, and you're the player. So he doesn't tend to overstep that line and get too close. But you know, I think as any footballer would tell you that the most important thing you get out of a manager is honesty, and he's as honest as the day's long. You know, and he will let you know when you're not, you know, running hard enough for him or you're not doing the job. But he'll equally, you know, support you, you know, and give you praise when you deserve it. So, you know, all in all, I think what he was great at Burnley and something that, you know, I think a lot of clubs will look at him in the future is his recruitment and the type of character he brings into the building. You know, he does his research, does his homework, knows that, you know, people coming in the door, whether they're in the team, out of the team, they have to buy into what he wants and that hard work ethic and, you know, togetherness. And that's, I think, probably the real key ingredient of why we had our success.
So this season, then, when it started going wrong again, and it was probably one of the worst, you know, runs you've had for a long time, you know, since you was probably there as well. So what do you think changed for them to actually pull the trigger this year?
I don't know, to be honest. I know there's a new set of owners in there, whether that has made a difference.
They just got panicky, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest. It's a strange one. You see that new manager bounce, don't you, so often with clubs. And, you know, I suppose Villa had it when Gerrard came in, the lift he gave everyone. And
yeah,
it just seems to be that thing, everyone ups their game, that maybe 5-10%. But I think the strange thing for me in the timing was Burnley probably would have earmarked their running as games where they, you know, they could have got results. I think they had quite a tricky run before that. And then they beat Everton, which is a massive result. And obviously then had a disappointment away at Norwich. And, you know, the manager left after that. But I think they would have earmarked their sort of last 6-7 games to think, right, as long as we're in touching distance, we feel, you know, their results, especially, you know, teams coming to Turf Moor, although they haven't done as well there this year, that they would have earmarked these games as massive games.
But especially given his track record, like you say, of getting them out the holes that they were in, you know, season after season after season. So it was a massive gamble, wasn't it, to get rid of him? So what do you think of the new? Do you know much? Obviously, did you work with the chap that's took over? Because isn't it Ben Mee and
I've
worked team coaches, was it?
Yeah, it's the under-23s manager, and I think he's only there about 18 months. I know Ben really well. Ben's a great character, great captain. You know, strange to see him standing on the sideline in a tracksuit and handing out, you know, instructions. That does, you know, still blows my mind a little bit. But no, he's a great character, and he'll be one to get the lads going. But you know, watching the games, and I done one of the games for Sky, and I don't see too much of a change in style or how they're playing. You know, there just seems to be, you know, maybe games that they have belief that they could win. You know, the new manager's come in. I think he's admitted himself he didn't need to change much. He just wanted to get Burnley back to being Burnley. And, you know, that seems to be the way it's gone. So, you know, obviously it's great they're still in with a great chance. There's a lot of football still to be played. They got some really tough games. But, you know, they're in there with a real chance of staying up again.
I mean, confidence is massive, isn't it, in football for players? So what is it like, you know, trying to remain confident maybe when you've not had a great game and maybe the form of the team sort of dips? Is it quite difficult to get the confidence back again?
Yeah, it can be. I think that's one thing that was great there, that because the manager, he never got too down or too low when we were losing or in a bad run, and he was never too high when we were winning. So he was always very level-headed. You know, approached every, I know it's an old cliche, but he did literally take every game as it came, whether we were playing Man City, you know, away, he would approach that, you know, thinking we could get a result. If that didn't go well, you'd look to the next game, regardless of who it was, you know, Watford, a Villa, Everton, Newcastle. And that's pretty much the way they've run it all year. You know, that even when times are tough, like you said, Justin earlier, they've been through it before, and I think that's one thing that you can't really buy. You know, the experience of players that have been in this situation, and you know, quite a lot of the squad is, you know, probably been there 5-6 years, so they've been there, done that, and I suppose you just have to believe in your process and believe in what you're doing, and it's not always going to work out for you. You know, they may fall short this year, no one knows yet, but you know, I always felt that they would somehow pick up 2 or 3 results to give themselves, you know, a chance.
It's getting that first result as well, isn't it? With, like you say, that Everton result was such a kickstart for them, given that Everton was struggling as well. So to give them that boost of beating them as well, I think it gave them that confidence to go on. And you just need that one game, don't you, where everything seems to go right. And then it sort of goes into the next one, then the next one. All of a sudden, your momentum shifted totally and you're flying again.
Yeah, 100%. And that's it. It just takes one result. And That's why I was quite surprised. I know they had a setback at Norwich, but you know they had got an unbelievable result to come back from 2-1 down against Everton at home, get the result, and listen, you know they'll have earmarked these last 4 or 5 games, and you know Villa are obviously in a position where they're comfortable in the league now, and they're the kind of game. Yeah, but Villa are fine. Do you know what I mean? Villa are absolutely fine, but they're the kind of games that you look to now, and listen, Villa. You know, they've got them twice. They're going to be tough games, but you're hoping you have that edge a little bit because you're thinking, right, well, you know, Villa have had a decent enough season. Of course, they want to be higher in the league, but they know they're under no pressure, really. They'll be you're hoping that they're looking towards next season and you just might have that slight little edge that might give you that extra 2 or 3% that may get you that result that you need. So that's sort of how you have to look at it when you're in them situations. It's tough because everywhere you look, you know, you can't turn on your TV without the league table being on Sky Sports News, or you know, pick up your phone and you're seeing it. You know, they're talking about who's going to go down, who's favourites to go down. So that's probably the hardest part, to switch off from the outside noise and just concentrate on what you're doing.
It just worries me that
we was embroiled in it a couple of seasons ago with Dean Smith, and us fans on air, we'd come off the podcast and we'd literally go through the fixtures and we'd go, okay, we might get 3 points here. Watford might get 3 points. We'd count the points and see whether we survive. Is it sort of similar with the players? Do you ever look and go, you know what, we can get 3 points there, a point there. They might slip up there. We'll be safe. Do you ever look at it like we do?
Yeah, well, before I actually answer that, I was embroiled in that relegation battle myself because my son's a Villa fan now, and he was, I think, was it the West Ham game when we finally stayed up? I remember our season had finished and I was on holidays with him and I had to sit through that with him, so he was living on his nerves. So I actually half lived through that myself. But yeah, it is like that. Yeah, you're looking at games, and as much as everyone says concentrate on your own games, you can't help but look when someone down there is playing and you're thinking, right, come on, do us a favour, and you're cheering for the other team. But you know, I suppose you can only concentrate yourself. But yeah, you live and breathe everyone else's results. You know, as much as you don't want to look at your phone, you're checking your phone, or someone will text you to say they're 1-0 down or they're 1-0 up. And, you know, listen, they're really, really difficult to be involved in. You know, mentally they're very tough. But, you know, the relief you have when it's been there, you usually will have had it as fans. You know, when you stay up on that last day, it's like you can breathe a sigh of relief, and you're just glad it's done, and you just pray that you're not in the same situation in 12 months' time.
You was part of probably my favourite ever survival day, I think Sky called it, when you was at Wolves. And you played Blackburn on the last day of the season, and it looked like Blues were staying up, and then I think Blackburn had to score 3, and then Blues conceded against Tottenham, and then they got relegated, and they were never to be seen in the Premier League again. So that was a class day, and plus Villa were beating Liverpool at home. It was such a great atmosphere, and that day must have been incredible to be part of.
That was a crazy day. That was. I think it's the last time a team has gone down with 40 points. I think Birmingham, I think we had 41 maybe, and they'd 40, but we ended up, I think we were staying up on goal difference until the last minute, and then Tottenham scored in the last second. But yeah, it was a crazy day. Absolutely mental. We were 3-0 down at half time, and Mick McCarthy, great guy, great manager, come in at half time and use an expletive that I couldn't even repeat. But it was just like, that's us lads, we're done, and just get out and give it your best. And we ended up, I think we scored 1 goal, got back to 3-1, and results were going well elsewhere, and the crowd were singing, we only need a goal. So we bear in mind we were losing the game, but we only needed a goal. And the last 5 minutes of the game, when Birmingham were chasing it, ourselves and Blackburn were both safe, and we ended up just passing the ball around each other for 5 minutes, kicking it long, and we'd pass it. And I remember Howard Webb was reffing, and he would just come up to a couple of us and he was like, come on, lads, just at least run around, look like you're trying. Just make it look like it's a game of football. But we both knew we were safe, and obviously, I suppose it was a good day for Villa fans as well, with Blues going down.
Superb.
Cool.
I'm just glad I've rubbed off on the lad now. Every time he comes in the shop, I've been badgering about Villa now, and he's finally a Villa fan. That's great to hear.
I know. Well, I told him I was coming on tonight, and he was like, what are you actually talking about? He was like, is it his food? I was like, no, it's not, son. It's just
So a player that plays for Villa that you've played with as well, Danny Ings, what's he like?
Danny Ings is one of the best strikers I've played with. I think when he was at Burnley, the first year we had in the Premier League, he was just unbelievable. And I remember we played Man United away, and Alex Ferguson come to our training ground a couple of weeks later because I think he become pally with the manager, helped him out with his pro license and stuff. And he told Danny Ings, I've recommended you to Man United straight away, want to sign you.
No way.
Obviously, he was a big Liverpool fan. Liverpool had also, been interested. So he's ended up going to Liverpool, and Danny's ceiling as a player is right at the top of the game, right at the top of the game. I think he's been really unlucky with a couple of injuries. And I think since coming back from them 2 bad knee injuries, he just tends to pick up the odd knock here and there, but so talented, so sharp, got every finish in the locker. Not only scores goals, provides goals. And I think, he just needs a run of games for probably the Villa fans to see, how good he can be. He's just been probably a little bit unlucky with probably the form of Ollie Watkins a little bit and just a couple of injuries here and there.
Yeah.
I remember you gave me some tickets a long time ago now. I came up to Burnley 2014, I think I've looked just. And I remember talking to you and Danny after the game. I think he scored a penalty late on. I've just looked, Joe Cole scored as well. And I remember you saying to me he was going to be a top player. And he did. He like you say, he's just been really unlucky. And I think the start of the season for us Villa fans, we were absolutely buzzing. It came out of the blue. It was just after Jack had gone, and I think it's almost seen as Villa fans as a bit of an appeasement signing after Jack went. It just came totally out of the blue. But I was really buzzing, but it just hasn't quite happened for him this season for one thing or other. But do you still talk to him? Is he quite happy with the Villa? Is he settled? Is he looking forward to a long spell at the club?
Yeah, he was delighted to sign. He was absolutely buzzing, and I was trying to house hunt for him when he first came up. I was telling him the areas where he needs to stay away from and where he needs to live. So, listen, and that's one thing about him as well. He's an unbelievable lad, unbelievable character. In a dressing room, you couldn't have a better lad. His temperament, the way he gets on with everyone. And for me, back when he was at Burnley, went to Liverpool, I could only see his career staying in the top 4 and being a regular for England. And, he's just been terribly unlucky with a couple of injuries. And I do genuinely think he still has a lot to give. And I think, if he gets a run of games, gets fit, I think the Villa fans will really see a top player, and he will be a great signing over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, he changed the game for us at the weekend, and he only came on first. Came on, assist straight away, and he was quality, weren't he, Justin and Ryan? Against Norwich especially, he had a real good game. So, Stephen, what are your sort of career highlights then? What do you look back on now? You are retired.
Yeah. Funny enough, you don't really look back when you're playing. You're just sort of getting ready for the next season or the next game. But listen, for me, the highlight is obviously as lucky as I've been to play in the Premier League and have great moments in the Premier League. I've scored winning goals at Anfield.
Chelsea
scored Chelsea away when the first day of the season when they were champions. But for me, represent my country will always be the top of the tree. Obviously, we're not as big of a nation as England. So, if you do get to the Premier League, you've got a fair, decent chance of playing for your country. But regardless of that, everyone's, got that patriotism and pride about where they're from. And for me to pull on that green shirt was something that, was just an unbelievable feeling. And to do it as many times as I did was, I was terribly lucky. And that's definitely career highlight would have to be that. But I've been lucky to have some great moments along the way, and playing in the Premier League for so many years, playing at great stadiums, being a part of big results. But I don't think it will ever take away when you pull your country shirt on for the first time.
The majority of your caps come under Martin O'Neill. So just to link it with the Villa, obviously he was our ex-manager for 4 years, and Roy Keane was also our assistant under Lambert. So what was it like playing under those two?
Unbelievable. It was brilliant. 2 unbelievable characters, 2 such different characters. Martin O'Neill was, just had a spring in his step all the time. I'm sure, you remember him on in the sort of dugout of Villa, jumping around, hopping around, bouncing in his boots.
In his tracksuit.
Yeah. And his umbrella boots. He was the same with Ireland, exactly the same. Absolutely loved it. We're lucky enough. And Roy was great. He was a great character to have around. Obviously so passionate about Ireland as well, and played at the top level. And we had some real success, obviously, going to the Euros with them, done well. And yeah, two great characters. But Martin O'Neill was amazing for not just for me, but for the squad. He really came in and was really passionate about the job. You know, really, he's so enthusiastic, as you've probably seen yourself, about football, about winning, about achieving something, and that just bred through the whole team. And obviously we were lucky enough to qualify with them, and yeah, had a great tournament as well. So yeah, great memories. I've been lucky enough to work under some great managers, but them two as a pair were really good.
So did you follow Villa much in your youth? Because we had quite a island internationals in our squad, 90s, 2000, like some McGrath, Townsend, Staunton, Ray Houghton. So did Villa catch your eye as you were growing up and playing?
Yeah, they did, and Villa were always massive in Ireland for that reason. Obviously, Steve Staunton, Ray Houghton, Paul McGrath, as you said, Andy Townsend, you know, some great players over the years. So Villa's always been huge in Ireland. Paul McGrath's an absolute legend in Ireland. You know, how much he's adored over there. You know, Villa's always had a big place. There's a massive fan base over there. And for me, what really hit home for me was the first time I ever played at Villa Park. And you know, growing up in Ireland, there wasn't as much, you know, football on the TV. Sky wasn't as big, and you just always associated Aston Villa with the FA Cup semi-final and the stadium, and I'll never forget, you know, the brickwork on the whole end and stuff like that. So, you know, I remember the first time going, it was a real surreal moment for me. Even the carpet as you walk in, going through the claret and blue doors, it was a massive club in Ireland, and I think, you know, listen, I think Man United and Liverpool were always, you know, big in Ireland, but Villa had a huge following purely because of the association I had with so many Irish players, and not only Irish players, top Irish players that were, you know, played for Ireland at a time when we qualified for World Cups under Jack Charlton, and you know, especially in my era, that they were massive heroes of mine, and that's why you've always had that association with Villa. So Villa's always been a club that, you know, for me, I've always sort of looked out for, always wanted to play, you know, always dreamt of even playing there. Funny enough, I always thought in my career, if I could, you know, after Wolves, I'd lived in the area, I always thought it'd be a great move for me going to Villa. Massive club, massive stadium, training grounds.
When we got relegated, I remember saying, can't you sign for the Villa because we need a left back?
I did try a couple of times, but I couldn't get out of Burnley. But no, listen, it's a massive club, and obviously my son now goes to school in the area around here, so you know, he straight away, obviously he loves Wolves from when I was there, but straight away came home, Villa shirt, Jack Grealish on the back, and even though Jack's gone, you know, I still take him down to the games when I can, and you know, it's a great day out, massive club, and like you said, huge in Ireland just purely because of the association I have with some really top players.
You have to get him a Jack Ramsey shirt now.
I think Danny Ings is next on the list because I know Danny, so I'll have to ask Ingsy to send
me I've got one more question about Danny Ings, actually. We have this ongoing debate on this podcast, whether we play 2 9s and 1 10 or 1 10 and 2 9s. Where I know he's a centre forward, but did he ever play a bit deeper? Can he play deeper? Or would you play him as a 2? Put your coaching head on. Is he better in a 2 up front, on his own up front? Can he play off a striker, off the mate? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you might think I'm probably a bit biased because I've played with him, but I think he can do both magnificently well. Yeah, when he played for Burnley, he was obviously, we didn't always play true midfield.
How did you play him?
He was. This is what I'm saying. We played as a 4-4-2, so it was like a you know, himself and a Sam Vokes or, you know, an Ashley Barnes, and he'd be the one that would get off. He would run in behind, stretch teams. But he was the link man that came short as well to feet.
Because you can play deeper, can't he?
Yeah, he's so comfortable in that sort of number 10 or top of the midfield, you know, coming to link the play and then getting in the box. But he can also stretch teams. So that's sort of why I'd put him up there with, you know, obviously Robbie Keane's probably the best out-and-out striker I've played with. But in terms of all-round game, Danny was right up there. He could do it all, you know. Yeah. And that's why he was so difficult to play against, especially when we were having a success, because he could do everything. You know, he could provide goals, he'd score goals, he'd come drop deep, he'd run in behind, and you know, had everything. And like I said, I think there'll be a lot more to come for him in the Villa shirt once he if he can get his body right and just get himself fully fit.
Top stuff, right? So we'll end it there then. So Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode. Get involved in the comments section down below and drop the video a like. And Stephen, it's been an absolute privilege to have you on our Burnley preview.
Cheers, lads. And I would wish you luck the weekend, but I got a root for Burnley this weekend. They need the points more than you boys do.
We'll let you off this time.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers, lads.